Hey guys, Hazza here and welcome back to my channel. We are following up our group stage prediction video with one for playoffs. I am joined yet again by Kairo and PAL. How are you both doing?
Very good. I'm excited.
Every time I wait for Paul to go on first. Every time he speaks when I speak. Oh my god. Yes, I'm doing excellent.
Yes. Well, I got to see you the other day in Nottingham, Kairo. How are you sort of recovering from that weekend?
Yeah, sleepless is how I would describe it. Obviously, because sharing a room with you is a great experience, Hazza.
The big thing to take away from groups is that now it's not another video where Kairo's coming in and saying that he was the king of predictions, lamenting us, because I was the closest out of the three of us. I said that Acend, Saw, Apeks, and Focus would make it through. I was one off getting them all correct. We had Kairo say that Digital Athletics were going to finish first. We had PAL, rate them a little higher as well. Looking at on Twitter, and guys, make sure to send in your predictions after we've concluded this video as well as to how you have the bracket going. Soul Chains was the closest, the only person at the very least to have predicted all four of the teams to qualify, which they did. The rest of it was a bit messy, but I mean, we already said before how close everything ended up looking. For the games themselves, I only got 4 wrong. Pal, you said you got 3 wrong. Were there any matches here which surprised either of you two?
I mean, the fact that Digital Athletics was so low.
Yeah? I mean, they definitely didn't get off to a good start. Anything here for you, Pal?
Desire beating Ascend and Falcons beating Kairo on day 3.
Yeah.
Where have those results come from? And thank you for taking me out of the top spot, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Because okay, I can see Gentlemates beating Focus, absolutely, but I wanted to back the boys at the end of the day. But those 2 results were certainly unexpected.
Yeah, I think for me, I overrated Kairo a little bit after how sort of well they performed against Apeks, at least on map 1 of that series. So I went against what my own power rankings actually ended up being. And then by the time it came to day 3, to be honest, I probably could have called Falcons here and snagged myself some points, because we already spoke last time about the upset potential that they had as a team. It was always going to happen that they found at least one result, and it just happened to be Kairo that felt the blunt force of that, because of course in the end they finished up 0-4, a pretty shock result if we're being completely candid here about it. But now heading into the pick'ems themselves, we can pull this one apart. It's the majority of the teams that we expected to see here at the very least. Starting off with the first one, Ascend Gentlemates. I really don't know how to call this one.
Gentlemates.
Yeah, I think Gentlemates.
Do you think that they've won you over enough then? Because a big thing for me with Ascend is I think that probably their group stage performance was the worst version of them that we could possibly have hoped to see, even with a 3-1 record, because of how good they should have looked coming into it. That win against Saw, however, has sort of steadied the ship in my eyes. I feel a lot more comfortable about them as a team now coming into playoffs. If they hadn't managed to make it through and went on the technicality of CGN losing instead, but that has settled things in my mind at least a little bit. I'm still not too sure. You're both firmly in the Gentlemates camp though. Yeah,
I mean, I think for me, like with Ascend, I had like I said, like in the last video, I was worried about like their irregularities when it comes to results. I thought in the best of 3s though they would be much stronger, and it's not like the win that matters to me, is the manner in which they win it. And at any time, it looked as if Ascend could capitulate and lose most of those matches. I mean, I don't know what you think, Paul.
I thought Ascend looked shaky in the groups. They were fine in the end, just to make it out. I thought they won a very good but close series against Saw, but they're not at the level that a lot of teams were hoping them to be at. Saw gave them a good challenge, but ultimately showed that they can bleed. Gentlemates, I think, obviously I know them very well. I was very, very interested to see how their style of play and their ability to execute it turned up and got them results on the more international stage, or at least pan-European stage. And so far, they've been looking very, very good. I don't see that changing. I know they're consistent. I know they're well-structured. And my big thing was if they could do it throughout groups, that would be consistent going into the playoffs. Whereas I don't see Ascend having performed to the level that people expected them to in groups, and therefore I expect that to be either maintained, or even if it is slightly improved upon, I don't see that being sufficient to beat Gentlemates in that first game.
Okay. Yeah, I want to say that I'm in the same boat as well. I guess Acend perhaps can rectify things later on, but you see, I made the same mistake when I said that Kase had pushed Apeks, that Gentlemates also did similar work, because they did, and I feel as if that's the rematch that I want to see in the upper bracket final at least. I'm going to go with Apeks here. Like, yeah, I backed the Saw Stonks from minute one. I said that they would qualify, but it is me who brought them into this world, and I will very quickly take them back out of it. I think against Apeks, you're probably just asking a little bit too much from them here.
Yeah, it's like going up against Thanos with like the Infinity Gauntlet. They can snap their fingers at any moment, and right now it seems as if they can't stop. In fact, I think it's since the end of February that they have not stopped snapping their fingers and half in teams. So yeah, I mean, what else can you do against Apeks? Literally, that I'm literally asking, what else can people do? They're just unbeatable.
You set yourself up for failure there, Kairo, I have to say. But
yeah. If there was ever to be a curse, just this would be the best team if you wanted to curse them, because it's very unlikely that they are going to lose. Overall, I think Saw are good. I think they're a very good team. However, I think they will be very, very challenged to beat this Apeks team just because of the consistency. What needs to happen for Saw to have a chance of winning is for Apeks to not show up on the day. If they start to show inconsistencies, if they start to show weaknesses, then Saw absolutely have the talent to be able to capitalize on that.
Yeah. I think the way that Saw plays as well is, quite aggressive at times. If they can wreak enough havoc to throw off Apeks, then there's a good chance. But Apeks, with how well coordinated they are and how good they are at making those sort of mid-round adaptations on the fly and playing off of one another and just bouncing in that play style, I feel as if they'll be able to react to a lot of the problems that Saw try and lob in their direction. So to look at it from a bit more of a tactical perspective, they're just so good, man. They're like, I don't really know how to describe it. They're incredibly flexible, like one of those rulers that you get in school when you're just hanging off the table. You give it a bounce and then it just boing. Do you know what I mean? Let's move to the lowest then. Acend versus Saw. Looking at this one, do we think Acend will progress, or is there perhaps a little bit of rematch potential here that Saw can sort of rectify some of the issues that they had in that previous series?
The Saw just didn't look like themselves. I thought Acend had looked somewhat comfortable finally. There was obviously the Lotus was a bit here or there, but it was just a bit of an awkward one.
I think this best of three could be absolutely brilliant, a great one to watch, because ultimately these two teams are very, very close. They showed it in their best of three before in the group stage. They both have the potential to turn up, and if they absolutely do, then they have slightly differing styles that will, when going against each other, basically throw up some fantastic head-to-heads. Head-to-heads between Alive, between Tamazi, between some of their more supportive players as well. And it could be absolutely brilliant. I'm not saying it's going to be the highest quality Valorant on show. I fully expect, given the differences in style, that it would get a little bit scrappy, because they're both trying to play in slightly different ways against one another. But this could be one of the closest that we get if both teams turn up. Could see it going either way.
I'm incapable of thinking with any of these, genuinely. I think for me, I can see it being okay. Apeks in the final. It's just whether it's Acend or Gentlemates, in my opinion. I can't see Saw making it as far as the final, and if they do, I definitely don't see them winning it. That's where my head's at.
Can we flip a coin?
I guess we'll just go Acend.
I think Acend take it. I think Acend take it. Moving into the upper final, although Gentlemates showed a very, very good showing against Apeks in the group stage, I don't think this is going to be the one where they take them.
Yeah.
From there, Gentlemates, Acend, lower bracket final. Who we got?
Yeah, I do agree with your sentiment there, though. However, I think that, again, Apeks are just that step above the other teams here. You have teams like, Acend, Gentlemates, Saw. I'm sure that they'd all be competitive in franchising, but I don't expect them to be able to put up the same kind of performances that Apeks would. I've said this before, I'll say it again. If Apeks were in LCQ right now, I could easily see them qualifying to champs.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think Apeks were, if you put them in this year's VCT EMEA, they definitely get top 5, if not top 4. Mm-hmm. I see them as being better than footballists, probably better than Na'Vi, depending on what they look like right now, but better than the Na'Vi we've seen over the last couple of months. So arguably they're a top 3, top 4 team. Gentlemates, Acend, Saw, they could all be very competitive, if not aim for that sort of 5th, 6th.
If this one goes the way that I'm perhaps anticipating it to, it will be the 3rd time that we then see Apeks versus Gentlemates against each other. Is that what we're feeling here, or are Acend making the lower bracket run of all lower bracket runs and sending themselves to the grand final?
I feel like Acend could do the lower bracket run because there's that rematch potential. You know, like I just feel as if there's like something like a 60% win rate for anybody or for the losers of the last series to come back and win the rematch series or something like that, which is crazy. Yeah, I feel as if Acend do have a chance here, and obviously it's a team of quality. They might have just been slightly off form, but coming into playoffs, they've always looked good.
Gentlemates, they're taking it. I think the quality at this point, if they're able to get themselves to this stage and still look really competitive, having beaten Acend before, I think they'll be more than capable of doing it again.
Yeah.
They're more than capable of adapting, macro, micro, everything strategic, and they also have the talent to absolutely back it up.
This video has been a little too civil, I think.
Oh no.
What's he doing?
Oh no.
What is he doing?
What's the man bringing out now?
Oh, what is this? What's this he's got?
I think it might be time.
What's it time for?
It might be. It might be.
Acend are going to the final. Polska Grom.
Okay.
Batty G's taking them the whole bloody way. To the final, that is. But yes, I think Acend can win this one. Look, I've got to stir the pot at least a little bit here.
Yeah,
I don't think it would be fun if we all just said that Gentlemates will make the final. And look, against Focus, there were errors, and maybe it's another, not really team in red, but, you know, like, I'm wearing the red scarf again. I want to see them avenge the fallen brethren, the Eastern brothers to the Polaris faithful, firm handshakes all around. It's an Apeks Acend final.
Yes. Okay. Do you know what? I rate that because it's the 2 regions that me and Hazza have covered the most extensively. So it's a Hazza and Kairo final. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, also it does look like the. Of course. I mean, it's my channel. But like, yeah, I think in many ways this feels like. Not necessarily poor writing, it's still the same conclusion we were expecting to get to with a slightly different path, because I think everyone saw Acend getting signed as a statement of intent the same way they did Apeks, both within regions that were fairly competitive but still very much the dominant force in both. Back-to-back victors, and now they clash here for a chance in franchising. The former Fnatic core versus the org that won the first ever international sort of champions event. So, yeah, I think it's poetic in many ways. And like every story, there must be a fitting conclusion. So, in the grand final, is it going to be a royal flush for Apeks? I'm at least putting my money on the boys from home.
Yeah, I think it's kind of got to be. Given the track record, given the lack of inconsistencies that we've seen so far, if they continue to show the sort of quality that they have done, you've got to put your money on them. Kairo, what do you think?
What do I think? I'll tell you exactly what I think. Polaris is winning it all! We are the kings of the north! Come on! Yes!
Absolute scenes. Absolute scenes.
It's happening. Polaris is bringing it home.
E-I-E-I-E-I-O. Up the VCT we go. When we win Ascension. This is what we sing. We are Apeks, Super Apeks. Kiko is our king. E-I-E-I-E-I-O. Oh, dear me.
I'm worried for Berlin.
It's going to be fantastic, pal.
I'm worried.
I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. But there are the predictions. If you guys want to stay in touch with what Kairo and I will be getting up to when we go to Berlin, make sure to follow myself, Kairo, and PAL on Twitter, of course. Make sure to check out the latest video that I posted as well. I broke down some of the games from the group stages, which, you know, if this is anything to go by, I had pretty good track record on predictions-wise, so maybe we'll see history repeat itself and get something good here coming out of it. Follow me on Threads too. You have to have the app for it, and the EU doesn't even have it yet, so that's why I've not tweeted out about it. Other than that, A few more exciting announcements to be made later in the week. Stay tuned. That is all. Any closing thoughts from either of you two?
Apeks are winning it all. I can't wait to see it happen.
Lovely. Kairo, I'll leave the final word with you.
Come on, the boys. Apeks for it all, baby. Woo!